It's the Dreamscape Empyrean.
Welcome back, dreamers, to Indie Synergy Exchange, the latest and greatest podcast in all things indie creation and art. I'm your host, Tanner Giese, also known as Number 2 Pencil Man. And joining me this evening, I have my other lovely hosts. We have my lovely wife, Katie Giese, author and poet. And we have the mysterious and amazing Andromeda, the artist, also known as Rachel. And we have my bro and talented artist, Frae, official. And we together make up the Dreamscape Empyrean.
What's up?
I'm excited. How was that intro, guys? Better than last time?
That was better
Great.
than last time. We'll have to give you a 8 out of 10.
8 out of 10. I'll take that. Yes, we are back for another fun episode. Last time you got to learn who we are, and today we're going to talk a little bit about why we are forming this group and why we are doing this podcast. So, I guess let's dive right into it.
Go ahead and start, sir.
So, I think in today's world, being indie is kind of a struggle. Like any type of independent creation and creator artist out there knows that it's a struggle just kind of getting your art out there. It seems to be drowned out by so many things. So one of the things... Oh, is it coming through?
You're good.
All right, cool. One of the things that, we want to focus on as a group is kind of building a platform for all of you indies out there. Anybody who has any art and any creative things that they're trying to do, because it's all passion and what we want in life. So I feel like that's one of the main reasons that we are banding together.
Yeah.
So what does being indie mean for you guys?
You can go ahead.
I think right now is a great time to start exploring different kinds of art because we haven't had the individual in art in a long time. I speak from a musical point of view. A lot of music nowadays is written in a group of people, and there's nothing wrong with that. There's a lot of music I like as well as, obviously everybody else. But we haven't really gotten the chance to see the independent musician, like the singular individual, rise and see their day in the sun as an artist. Because the music industry has been so monopolized for so long. And like I said, there's pros and cons to that, but I think it's great to offer an alternative to give people the shot of something new, something different, something that hasn't been done before. And I think when there are studios and music is made through a studio, so much of it nowadays has become so formulaic and so, we have to be careful to make sure this song is going to 100% make money for us. And so there's maybe less risk in the industry and less newness and freshness. And I think this is a great time to explore new options and just really get the name out there for other people, because I think these other people that don't go through a studio, that don't want to work in a group, that don't want to write their music with 10 people or cater to the industry, cater to the business execs and the studio producers, those people are exceptional musicians too, and they deserve a voice and they deserve, a chance to succeed. And so for me, one of the main reasons why I am interested in doing this podcast is just because I know how difficult it is to be a musician in the industry, and to know that, basically because of the power structure of the industry and the monopoly of the industry, it's extremely hard to break through. And even if you as a musician are doing well as an independent artist, you're not really getting much money from it. Like, because, there's only a few platforms that you can share your music onto, or even just the audience actually listens to. And so let's say Spotify, you only get like 0.003 cents per stream. And so, I think there needs to be a shift of respecting the individual artist again. And that's not going to happen unless we provide change and we provide resources for new artists to come along, burgeon up, and
Yes.
to say our voice matters, and to collectively agree upon this value system that respects the individual, respects the art first, and respects even the risk-taking concept of art, instead of just let's make movies or let's make music that 100% guarantees it's going to make money. I mean, because I think sometimes you don't necessarily see the money come in immediately, but that doesn't mean that it won't come in later, after a few goes
Mhm.
at it, after, because everything new, it takes time to really get people involved in that and to start that movement. I mean, it's like a snowball effect. It's slow to start, but once it starts, it moves powerfully. And so, really the idea
I
is
love
to
that.
try to introduce the public to this momentum that we're trying to start for a new era of art, where more people can succeed and more people can get out there and maybe just have some alternative to just the stereotypical system.
I love that. Very well worded, as always, Rachel.
Thank you, sir.
Um, I like what you did bring up about resources, and I just want to like talk about that real quick. Like being an independent artist, we don't have all the resources that maybe somebody who actually has like big producers and studios backing them. So I think to tie that into what we're doing as a group, we all don't have a lot. And I think, what we do have is our talent. And I know with working with each and every one of you guys here on this podcast, it's been like we've been able to contribute to one another. We've kind of set aside that, I mean, yes, money's still definitely a part. We want to be able to help each other out with money, but we also know like right now we can't necessarily afford all those fancy things. And I can't, unfortunately, pay my artist Frae $1 million like I want to at this moment. But Frey's okay with that, and he's like, you know what? I'm gonna take a chance on you, and he's literally given me a fantastic deal. So I think like one of the main things with this group is just like we can show the independence like it's possible if we band together, if like people are willing to work with one another, it kind of helps us elevate our platform and get us out there to kind of get our stuff seen more, like you were saying. So I wanted to, bring that up. Like that's definitely a big point of what we're doing. What about you, Frey?
Me? I agree in a sense that my goal was never to try to like stop mainstream from doing what they do. Like I said when we were having our discussion behind the scenes, there's some things the mainstream does that I like. There's sometimes degenerate music that comes out that's formulaic. Sometimes I like it. It's just that's how it is. But I do agree that there should be a way for there to be kind of a leveling of the playing field. There shouldn't be a company that monopolizes everything. Everybody should be able to get out there and compete. Um, so I think through this podcast, we can inform people of different things that they can use, different resources
Mhm.
where it could give them a leg up against the mainstream competition. Like festivals, like for example, all the small free events that you find Tanner, to like promote your Pencil Man. Yes,
Yeah.
it's going to be more work because you're indie. You don't have the whole big team behind you. But at the same time, you
I mean, I
still
have you
have,
guys.
huh?
I have you guys.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, yeah.
You're being reluctant to admit that.
Shush,
He's my artist
shush.
and my best friend. Wait,
Oh
I don't
Lord
know if I'm
Jesus,
pointing at
dude.
you actually
And
on
there
like
and there and
the
there he's
camera, but like on my screen, you're
there,
here. So I don't know if I'm
there
pointing to you when the whole thing is recorded or not. So
and there he ruined everything.
I always do, right?
No, but I'm saying so we'll be able to provide resources to people
Yeah.
through listening to this podcast of ways to get ahead. And yes, it's going to take longer because you don't have the team, but at the same time, you know, I feel like when you have to work harder, you kind of respect it more.
Yeah, I agree with that. That's
So,
yeah.
yeah, so it's like I enjoy the whole, starting from the ground and getting the merit and getting the respect of different audience members to where they give me money. So, but yeah, it's just more gratifying. You feel better. You don't feel like, you're just put into a system and it's like you're plug and play. Like there's like, for example, like K-pop people. A lot of them is just like, it's formulaic and it's like they don't have like a personality of their own. They're kind of just like robot copies that are like perfectly trained to sing, perfectly to dance, have this perfect, beautiful image. And it's like, they're kind of like not human. So it's like I don't feel like, when you're made into that, you kind of feel like a machine in a sense where it's just like, you don't feel like you're doing anything of purpose. You just kind of feel like you're in the assembly line of something. So, yeah. So by working hard as indie artists, I like that feeling because I feel gratifying when you do hit the big numbers. People show up, people buy stuff, people um, go online and give you reviews and stuff like that. You feel really good in that sense when that happens. So, yeah. So that's my stance. Yes.
I love that. It's true though. Working harder, I find like I don't know. It's like when you commit to this indie thing, it's more of like a passion project. It's like you're putting your life energy into it, your passions into it, and you're like, this is what I want to do. And working harder, it brings that gratification. I feel like other people also see that and
Hmm.
gravitate towards that.
Right. Yeah.
Definitely true. And the other thing that's interesting is that, like, I feel like there's a lot of the audience that is untapped too. Like, there's of course like a obviously a huge market for the is it K-pop and
Hmm.
all of the typical stuff that's formulaic, but then how many people do you hear talk about how they don't like that stuff, or they just listen to old music, or they watch old movies from way back in the 80s and 90s?
Right.
And there is I think probably a pretty decent portion of the audience that hasn't really been tapped into, and I feel that in a way, what we're doing is we're connecting that audience to alternative artists that they might actually like. Maybe
Hmm.
they just haven't found their music niche, or they haven't found the movies that they like, or the art or whatever else. And maybe they never would unless there are podcasts like us that are going to provide that resource, like to say, let me introduce you to something that's different, because the majority of the audience, I mean, that huge portion that's buying into, let's say, Taylor Swift or whatever, and Taylor Swift, I like some of her music, but I it's not everybody. Like, there, for every person that loves Taylor Swift is a person that doesn't like her but just listens to old music from the 70s. So it's like, where can they find some new artist that they genuinely would love, and how can that artist find them? Because they don't have the marketing resources, they don't have the studio to put forth that money to put their name out there, so or to hook them up with the venues, and so they may never be introduced to that audience otherwise.
Hmm.
I
Yeah.
agree. Katie, do you have anything that you want to chime in with? And you are on mute too, just in case.
You know, I deliberately put myself on mute in case of unnecessary sound and whatnot. And the car just went by. Yeah, I mean, I have some thoughts. They're not extremely well formed. I don't have a lot of experience firsthand with the monopoly situation. I just kind of know about it generally, I guess. I've met a fair number of indie creators through events, different conventions and festivals and things, mostly through Tanner's influence. So I could say I have a first-hand appreciation of indie creators, from all of the events I've attended. Mm,
What's something that stands out to you about those indie creators?
their freedom of expression, and I guess I feel like whoever has because I don't know who has them, but whoever has the monopolies in each artistic area or arena, um, I guess, and not everybody, but it just, from everything I've heard as of late, it just seems like there is an undeniable, uh, word I want, undeniable presence of greed and corruption that is, in my current thinking, stifling that freedom of expression. And so like Frae and Mitchell have already said, giving people the option of an alternative reality uh for getting their whatever their creative work is out there without having to compromise themselves for the resources that the monopolizers have, through not always moral upright means, um, is just really appealing to me. The idea of people coming together because they love their art form, um, and they want to be able to have another way to express it and um, make it for themselves, other than, the very limited options that are out there. I just think is a fantastic idea that I want to make reality for other people. So, um, the only way to do that is to get enough people who are indie creators that feel similar enough to the four of us, over time, building those numbers so that we are, uh, an undeniable force, to be reckoned with at some point. I know that's in the future at some point, but I can see it pretty clearly, and it's exciting to me. And um, I want to make it happen. So that's why I'm here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Very well spoken.
Yes.
Yeah.
Thank you for sharing, my love.
Sure.
And I think like just something that Katie said just made me think about how I think having podcasts like this is helpful to almost be approachable to an audience too, because I think that there's people that genuinely do like the authenticity of indie artists, but they don't know how to approach them. Like I was once at a Comic-Con, I had, of course, a table set up, and I had a woman that just kept like lingering around the table for like a long time, and then she'd come back and then she'd leave and she'd come back. And eventually she had her husband come over and ask me for her about my work. And it's like, I think that in a strange way, because independent artists aren't like these big scale dramatic artists, that, on this worldwide stage, there's like this weird awkward in between of like well, we're like you, we're people amongst the world, right? Um, but we're still artists that, if you want to be a fan, like come talk to us. But like I think for some reason people are afraid to. So it's like it's good to have an introductory sort of platform for artists to really introduce themselves and to show that they're human and talk about what they're about without, because I know like I know for certain like a lot of these interviews that they have on mainstream media are to some degree planned. There's the questions ahead of time that are written out. There is a very rehearsed response. They have a public relations team, they have an agent, they have these people that say you can't say this, you can say this, you have to bring up this, etc. And so, this is kind of a way to show people that art can also be accessible to the public in a very human sort of way, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I definitely love
Absolutely, I
that.
agree.
Something else that I noticed too is there are a lot of people out there who aren't necessarily creating right now, but
Mm-hmm.
that want to create. And I feel like because of some of these things, like there's a lot of intimidation around it. Like people feel like if they put something out there, it's not going to get seen. And so they're like, well, then what's the point? They can either talk themselves down, they feel like they don't have a chance. And that's something for me. Like you said about people coming up to us and like we're humans. I want to show people like it's easy to think that way. And at one point, I felt very overwhelmed about like everything I'm doing now. Like I thought that the prospects of having a YouTube channel was way overwhelming. I'd had to do all this extra things, and it was like, how do I even get started? Or will this even get out there? And I just kind of took a chance on myself.
Mm-hmm.
And when I took that chance, it like continued to build, and it was like one step and then another step. And it's not like as hard as people think. And it's like, yeah, you might not get out there right away. Like Frae was saying earlier, it's like there's gratification in the slow start, getting out there, but banding together, a podcast like this can help empower more people, encourage people to like get out of that shell, get out of that frame of thinking of like, I can never do this, or like, that's way out of my league. It's like, it was out of my league when I first started, and I'm here now. I have a comic book, I have social medias that I'm working on trying to get like constant content coming out on. Um, it's like all these things opened up just because I took the chance on myself and I believed, and I had a network of people that would come around me like Frae and Rachel and Katie, of course, my number one supporter. Like all of you guys just loved what I did and encouraged it, and you spoke life into it. And I can see like us doing that for other indies that may not even be out in the fold yet.
Mm-hmm.
I just think that's really important to kind of show people that even the people who aren't out there creating yet, like, look, you can do this. Like, we're
Mm.
all creators. I feel like very strongly that every human being has creative potential. I mean, what I told you guys in our behind the scenes talk, I believe very firmly like the basis of all creation starts with choice. Choice is the tool in which all creation is done. So even everyday life, you are creating life, like how you live it. It's a choice. Like one choice leads to one pathway, another choice leads to another. Creators at heart, creators is kind of like who we are, I think, spiritually and physically, whether we're aware of it or not. And I think a lot of people are aware of it, but they think it's just one way or another. So
Yeah.
I want to
Like,
figure out.
oh,
Mhm.
go ahead. I'm sorry. I didn't
No,
mean to
I
cut
just
you.
want to figure out how to help encourage people to step out into that, and also like, you know, just kind of be more aware of it.
Mm.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, because it's like, so even when I go to the conventions, like there'll be like people that want to do it. They'll be like, "Oh, I see you doing all your comics and stuff like that. I can't do this. I could never do it." And I'm like, "Yes, you can." And I'm like, it's not as hard, especially like, so when I was younger doing this with my best friend, it was very hard to get stuff together, getting a graphic novel together. We got like 25 copies of our first graphic novel, and it was almost like $400
Mm-hmm.
to get those graphic novels, like print on demand. And it was only one print on demand company back then. which was lulu.com. But now it's like I use Kablam. My books are like $5 a piece. Like there's so many resources that I think they don't understand. It is, like Tanner says, actually easier once you start doing it. You realize that it just takes a matter of researching, that there are a lot of tools that help you that aren't going to break your bank.
Yeah.
But when I talk to these kids at the convention and I'm like, here's my business card, contact my social media, ask me any questions, I'll help you get out there. It's just like they still have that fear that stops them from reaching out and getting the help to even do it. So, like Tanner said, I'm kind of wondering, how can we bridge that gap where it's like, yeah, we can speak positive and say we're going to give them resources and help, but it's like, how do we actually get them to do the resources? Like, I guess I don't, that's where I struggle with it. Like,
Mm-hmm.
so, I mean, I guess it's individual choice. Like, you got to make the leap over that fear hump.
They gotta believe in themselves,
Right.
We
So
gotta
it's,
unrelentlessly, like, just hit them with encouragement. Be like, believe in yourself. We're going to make you believe you can do anything.
Yeah. Yeah. I
yeah.
mean, I think it's hard because it's almost like I think Frae, you said something about like we almost feel like machines when we're in like a formulaic kind of environment. And
hmm
we are kind of taught to be very formulaic and almost like machines where we're gonna just get the task done and make sure we have enough money to get by. And it's a shame because it might not, like Tanner and I think Prey, you said it doesn't start fast, but it is a way that you can make money. I mean, it is something that even if you're not making money doing it, there's value in it, in terms of your self-expression, in terms of like just in my experience, like just the therapeutic aspect of writing music is enough for me to continue to do it. And that's why I want to show other people my music, is because I want it to be a very therapeutic kind of meditative experience. And so, I think we want people to share themselves because we see such different aspects of the human experience through other people's eyes and through their art and through their expression. And we're not going to get that if people are afraid. And we're taught to be afraid of that. Like we are taught to be so pragmatic that it hurts. We're so pragmatic as a culture that if it doesn't make an economic value, then don't do it, right? And or if it's not culturally acceptable, if it's not culturally normal, if this is not the circuit that you're on, the path that you're on, then don't do it. And I think the reason why people doubt themselves is because it's hard to get past that mentality of I have to be a functioning machine that is making a 9 to 5 job, is making all of this money, has a 401k, and actually is validating their lives through these things. And you know I think that's why we, yeah, like obviously want to do what we want to do, is because we want to encourage other people, we want to empower them to succeed in whichever way they deem possible. Because like, I mean, for me, I don't necessarily like, I think it's not really necessarily about the money as much as it's about connecting to people in a specific way, and maybe that's part of the big beginning for every single person, is just deciding what is your end objection. Sorry, Katie, you're laughing, so I'm thinking, oh my God, you're laughing at me.
Sorry, that was probably me. I had
Yeah,
something.
sorry, Rachel. No, no. I was laughing at Tanner because I saw him go, oh, I have something I want to say as soon as you're done.
No, no, that wasn't the case. I saw the light change on my camera and I was like, what's going on?
Okay, never mind.
You're still weird, Tanner, so don't worry.
Hey, I think the key is to encourage people to be weird. So I'm doing a good job, I think.
I mean, I think part of it, like, I know this is such a big discussion, and I took a lot of philosophy classes in college, and I still don't really understand it, but like what really is the purpose of art, I think comes into play here. Like why do people do art? Why is it beneficial? And like what is the purpose behind it? Like if it's not just, making money, then what are the other reasons? I know we talked about that last time, but I think like just to expand upon it, I think there are like music is very sacred to me because it's a vibrational, art. It's all about vibration. And vibration can literally change the makeup of your body. Like I read, there's a study that women with breast cancer, their breast cancer, Beethoven's Fifth Symphony actually will kill breast cancer cells. And so listening to that on repeat, I'm sure after a while it would stop working if you get sick of the song, I guess. But like you can actually change the makeup of your physical being through art and just like staring at a beautiful painting or, even just being in nature, which I think is art. That's what I would constitute as art. And so I don't know. I think it does come into play like what is art and why is it beneficial?
Yeah, that's true. Like that's why like rooms are painted like blue and stuff. It's
Yeah.
like it's calming. And that's why like, fast food restaurants are red because it makes you like you're faster and you want to get things
Yeah,
to go and stuff like that.
exactly.
I
So,
love these kind of things.
say it again.
That's
I
true.
love these kind of studies. It's
Yeah.
just like really interesting to see like the impact of these things because most people wouldn't even think about it. It's just like the little things that influence. I feel like art really influences culture, whether we're aware of it
Right.
or not.
Mm-hmm.
And it's kind of like whatever the story, the collective story is, the collective art is at the time, is what is really steering culture in one direction or another.
Right.
Hmm.
So
Well,
kind of going back to like all these, like the mainstream kind of has that control right now. There's not as much indie representation, and getting that out there helps show the different perspectives of the world. Like everybody is a creator at heart, and getting that out there shows so many different like perspectives, viewpoints, things that people might not even consider. Like a whole new reality awaits in
Yeah.
areas that we haven't even looked yet.
yeah, and it's interesting just to think. I don't know if I've thought about this before, but like pretty much all like mainstream art is being produced in cities too, and I wonder how that influences the art that's being created. Like we don't really have like major music studios that are being produced in rural areas, not like the countryside, not around nature. It would just be interesting to me to see how the music would change and the attitude of the music would change. It's just kind of an interesting thought I've never really thought about before.
That might be fun when we start getting guests. If we find like guests that are more from those types of areas, kind of
Yeah,
like seeing what they're producing and creating
yeah,
and like
definitely.
Yeah.
comparing it to some of these other things, that could be really cool.
Totally.
Yeah.
And it might be more relatable to some people, because a lot of people don't live in the city. I mean, I grew up in a very small town in Pennsylvania. I moved to New York City and then I moved out of the city. So I've kind of had both experiences, but like it's such a different culture that it's astronomically different. I mean, the culture is so different in the city than it is in rural Pennsylvania. So, I feel like the attitude does shift and the people absolutely shift. They're very different culturally.
Oh yeah, I agree. Katie, did you have anything you wanted to chime? Sorry to put you on the spot.
No, I'm sorry. I'm just really tired, so I'm a little slower with my thoughts. Yeah, I just keep going back to the whole freedom of expression thing, but also what Rachel was saying about being more human and connecting more. I was thinking about that. I was like, oh yeah, like that does really stand out to me about the indie creators that I meet at the events. Like,
Hmm.
yeah, there is this weird like idolization that happens uh for people who go through the mainstream route, like especially music, I guess, like you perform on stages and people who see you who are fans of yours, they're always at a distance from you and they can't really get too close and they think you're great and yeah, they don't have a personal relationship with you, but you can go to an event and meet an indie creator and become friends outside of that event if you click really well. Um, or at least be, good acquaintances. Um, yeah, I guess, yeah, I really think, well, and then when Frae was talking about it's easier now than it used to be to get your stuff out there, but you still have to, put the work in, of course. I didn't know that because I'm new to all of this. And that's kind of encouraging actually that um I guess like the timeliness of what we're doing is if it is easier to get stuff out there, as long as you're willing to put the work in, then um at least you have a little bit more of a chance because for whatever reason there has been more of an interest in being an indie creator, even though it's still a little under the radar if you look at it from like a grander perspective of things. Like there hasn't been like any gargantuan like quantum shifts yet, at least not that I'm aware of, with indie creators having more of a spotlight or as much of a spotlight as, like the current monopolizers that are out there. But um yeah, I guess I really feel like we're the missing piece is
Yeah.
that it's literally just a matter of bringing enough indie creators together, like in the same what's the word I'm looking for? Sounds like it's silly to say. It's just the only way my tired brain is gonna say it right now. But like this spirit of unity to
Hmm.
like bind indie creators together, like that's what we're doing. I think. I think art is extremely spiritual. It's everything. Uh, you use every part of yourself to create something when you do create something. So, uh, I mean, like if I'm writing, like it's mostly like mental, thoughts and things. But if I want to get really technical, like I use my hands to type on my phone or on my computer or write stuff. I mean, so yeah, I don't have as much like physical, as maybe other art forms, but it's all encompassing. So I was just thinking about that too while listening to everyone else share. Just it's literally about the missing link is bringing everyone together on the same page.
Hmm.
Like you have conglomerates here and there, but we're not fully united across the nation. So I think that's really, I know that's big, but like that's where my mind keeps going with this. Um, because it has to get that big if we're going to actually make a lasting difference, I feel. That's really yeah, that's currently what I think about it. So, we're not in this to play small. And we're not in this to play short term. Um, there was one other thing I'm trying to, it left me now. I guess it'll come back and I'll share later. But yeah.
Yeah, it's yeah, to piggyback off of it's easier now to get out there. It is, but like you were saying, it is more difficult. Like now we're more so vying for attention. It's not necessarily trying to get the product made. It's more of getting eyeballs on it.
Hmm.
So I think as our podcast continues to grow and we can provide that platform for those indie artists, they will get those eyeballs and it will help them get where they want to go.
We're not stealing people's eyeballs, Frey.
Right. Yeah, we are. Yeah, we are. Yeah,
Well,
we
we
are.
can't just do that. I'm
You have
pretty
blue
sure.
eyes, right? Yeah, yours are first.
No. Hey, my blue eyes are beautiful thing.
I know, and that's why they're going.
Oh, you just said I got beautiful
You
eyes.
know what? I'm going back on mute.
No, I agree. I think we need to build something that is so eye-catching, we can't be ignored. And the only way to do that, like Katie said, is through unity. Because independent doesn't mean that we have to be independent. We don't have to do it all alone. Banding together, I feel like, is the only way that we're going to build a platform big enough that people are going to be like, oh, what's going on over there? Like, let's
Mhm.
check this out, to make the
Yeah.
lasting shift in the culture that's going to potentially, like, really level a playing field and change, I think, everything. Like, the way the world sees pretty much
Yeah.
everything.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Definitely. I mean, I think yeah, it is about the traffic and the views and that sort of thing. I mean, so much of our social media is about how many likes and how many views you get. So it's really everything is measured on strength of numbers, like how many do you have? It's not necessarily the quality, it's the quantity. And so yeah, it's like we almost have to help artists that who are quality artists, you know, get those strength of numbers, get that quantity, the eyeballs as you call it. I mean, because I mean, I'm big on quality, and so I've always been quality over quantity. And so that's been the thing that's been so painstaking for me. It's just like everybody just cares about like how many views does it have, how many likes does it have, how many followers, and if you don't have that following count, then we don't care about you. I mean, like studios won't even look at you if you don't have a certain number of followers. And so it's just like, but how do those people get those followers? Well, we want to help those people do that.
Yeah, I feel cons are the same way. Some cons won't even throw your name in unless you have so many followers. Like they'll maybe throw you in the raffle, but they'll probably just list you and be like, "Well, when you get like so many followers, then you can maybe come here." But
Right, right. It's all about the numbers. It's hard. I mean, it's really frustrating to me sometimes because I just think like so who cares? It used to be, and I was talking to somebody who was in the music industry, and he was talking about how it used to be that there were people who would pursue a career in, let's say, a music studio, and they would get a position, and they would be the ones curating art for society. So they would say, I like this artist, so I'm going to share them on the radio. And now it's like it doesn't really matter if they like the artist or not. It really just matters if they have the followers. And so, I mean, coming from somebody who's more introverted and really never cared to be popular, that's something that has always been difficult for me is like, how do like, I don't want to bend to like the popularity contest, and be like, I have to be everybody's friend to make everybody follow my stuff because so much of, and I think Frey, you said this, so much of what you do now is it's not about the quality, it's more about whether or not they like you. And so it's like I guess the terrain has shifted. The climate is very different now than it used to be. I think you're all on mute. I don't.
I just want to make sure my noises go.
Yeah, interrupt me.
I'm the only one with not a good microphone currently. I'll fix that soon, though,
It's
It
good.
was me last time.
guys. That's how you know we're best friends. We both cause trouble on the podcast.
Oh,
I know.
geez.
Hey, did you ever think of that thought again?
You're
Sorry, I accidentally hit my picture there and it got too big. We're good now. Nope, I'm really tired.
Yeah, I think we've all covered like a wide variety of topics for why we're doing this. So I think for our audience out there, it's kind of clear. We are here to cause a shift in how the world sees art. Like we'll maybe start in the United States, but I think it's going to go way beyond that. As this grows, I can see people from other countries maybe even joining us on this podcast sometime. Who knows? Who knows the possibility? I think we all are here. We all decided to say yes to banding together. We have donated our resources and our times to one another in various ways. And it's just like, now we're here to show the world. This is what we can do. This is what the indie community has to offer. And Indie Synergy Exchange is going to be the podcast where they're going to get to see some of the coolest things ever and just experience something brand new. And yeah, I think that's definitely why we're doing this.
Yes, sir. I agree.
They need a platform, and that platform is called the Dreamscape Empyrean.
Yes.
They need a hero.
We're holding out for a hero to the end of the night. Anybody else gonna piggyback off of that?
I think you guys have this.
All right, Frae, now we gotta do it in unison.
No.
Oh,
Oh my God.
You embarrass me.
it's all
You
right.
make me blush.
I couldn't tell.
Wow.
I'm
Wow.
sorry.
Rude. That's okay. I can't tell either, so it's fine.
I can. I mean, I blush
I
a
could
lot.
just feel it.
I feel the bromance, bro.
Yep. See? There you go. There you go. I'm going back on mute again.
Yeah, I think we have a powerful statement, guys. Does anybody else have anything that they want to say before we wrap this up?
Oh,
Oh,
yeah.
wait. I'm sorry.
Oh, go ahead.
You're good. Go ahead.
Oh, okay. Um, well, I can't remember the connecting thought, so y'all might have to help me. It went away there again, but it's a different thought. That I have some friends who are not American, and more than one of them has told me that uh what one of the main things they love about America specifically is the idea that someone can start from scratch with their own business or whatever. Because, we do all want to make money with our art forms, and we want to help other indie creators help somehow, make money for their art forms too. Um, that it's a possibility here, and that a lot of people have been successful, because of Americans' core values, of like individual businesses and things like that are just in our way of doing things, like in our belief system, like as a nation, at least generally speaking, that American spirit or whatever, that I do think it kind of sets us apart in some respects from other cultures in the world. I mean, I don't know a ton about the other cultures of the world. Like maybe they do it similarly in another place. I just don't know about it. But with my limited knowledge of the world, like that is something that people from other countries still think America has, that makes us kind of like a special place to, and they still want to come here. Uh, Sometimes for that very reason, and I just think that we're following in the American spirit of um independent creators who, because they want to have business doing it, to make money doing it. So that whole American dream of like starting from the ground and starting from scratch and working your way up and making yourself into something, um because of course it's ideal, right? If you can do your passion but make money doing it as well, that's the ideal, I think, for most people. So even for those of us who aren't necessarily even for those of us who money isn't like the like super primary factor, whatever, but it's still there. So it's still that part of that ideal that we all have, so in our conscious somewhere. So yeah, I don't know, I was just thinking about that too, just now, because of what somebody said earlier that I still can't remember what it was that got me off on this whole thing. But yeah, I don't know, I just share that too.
Definitely.
Yeah. My thing was Officialverse Season 2 is finally here.
Woo woo.
Go to fraeofficial.com. Get the stuff. In fact, give me 1 second.
This is the time for shameless plugs, guys. So if you have anything, make sure you say it now. But buy this game. It's seriously great. There's a character in it that looks like number 2 Pencil Man. It may be number 2
It
Pencil
may
Man.
be number 2 Pencil Man. It may not.
Get it.
So, I'm starting to make binders. This is not going to be the final binder. This is just my binder to hold my stuff. But I have stuff to hold the cards in. So you got your character cards to hold stuff in. And I have all the character cards now. Even the rare ones that you can't get because it was Patreon exclusives and stuff like that.
I did get those cards.
Shush. Then season 2 characters are out. There are 7 new characters total. And then I have more cards for your deck. And can y'all see this? Or am I? There you go. There you go. So, you got cards. And I got more deck cards. We're going to move the card deck from 25 to 30. And there's a new rule called bench where you can put more of your characters on the bench so you can switch characters out on the playing field. So those are new things for Officialverse 2. And yes, go to fraeofficial.com and, check that out. You can buy your own copy of the stuff.
It's definitely a really good game. While we're shamelessly plugging, I also have some news for you guys. I'm going to show you real quick. I'm going to share my screen. Yes, we'll do this. Boom. So I just created my own website here. It is tannersTalesEntertainment.com, and you'll be able to find all my stuff here. If you guys are not from Pennsylvania, I have a shop that I'll be setting up this week, hopefully, finalizing all the products inside of that, getting all that squared away. You'll be able to buy my comic book, both in physical and digital format, and I also offer some services. You can book me to be a speaker or a guest at your event, and I also do parties, workshops, things like that, so this will be a place that you'll be able to kind of like learn more. Has all of this. Look at that. Beautiful website. Spent like all day designing it today, so I'm quite happy to show it off. Has an about feature if you want to learn more about what I do. Kind of take this time and hey, look, there's Frae. Read about my story a little bit. And yeah, there's just a bunch of stuff here. You'll be able to find all my social medias. You can contact me. I have a contact page here. See, I'm ready to party. It's party time. I look way too excited to be in front of that cake. Somebody get that away from me. So, I have a website now, tannersTalesEntertainment.com. You can check me out there. And yeah, that's my shameless plug. Does anybody else have a shameless plug? That's Andromeda the artist. She's got an awesome website. Check it out.
I can't say AndromedaTheArtist.com and ElegantBomb.com. That's my writing website.
Beautiful writing as well. You won't regret it. Check it out.
Hope not.
She also got cool merch. Get her merch.
Yeah.
Katie's still working on her book.
I was going to say, I wish I could say that I, stayed up for 3 nights in a row to finish my script, but I did not.
But she's working on it.
That's all that matters. You're working towards it.
Yeah.
We should just call this segment Shameless Plug segment, where we're just like, we're going to shamelessly plug our stuff.
We should end with a Pencil Man motivational.
Next time I'll put the costume on, I'll have it off to the side and I'll just like
No,
slide it on.
You can just play your Instagram videos. You have like 5,000 of motivational.
No, but the podcast listeners deserve something original for them.
But they wouldn't know
Well,
until I said it out loud.
The people who watch the video version of the podcast, they would know. The people listening on like all the podcast platforms, they might not know. But I'm not going to do that to them.
Fair.
So just you wait, guys. I'll set up a Pencil Man pep talk for you guys maybe in the next episode.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think this is a good place to end, right, guys?
Yeah.
So, last thoughts here. We are the Dreamscape Empyrean. We are setting up our socials still on all the different sites. We have an Instagram out. It's at Dreamscape Empyrean. And we have a YouTube, which if you guys are watching our podcast, you probably know about. That is YouTube, and we are Dreamscape Empyrean there. You can search us up by our podcast, Indie Synergy Exchange. And yeah, get ready for some big things. We'll have amazing guests. We'll have fun talks, we'll have serious talks. It'll be a little bit of everything. It's everything indie all in one. Just for you, dreamers, because we're here for you. So until next time, guys, my name is Tanner, also known as Number 2 Pencil Man.
I'm
And
Frae Official.
And I'm Katie.
And we are the Dreamscape Empyrean, and we will see you in the next episode of Indie Synergy Exchange.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Yeah.